First of all, beat raise. VMware is making it happen big time. From a financial point of view, data center AI is propelling the company. And remember, there's two ways that Broadcom makes money in chips and AI. They connect AI compute and the compute itself. So some pretty interesting stuff came out on the call. First of all, VMware. They have taken 8,000 disparate SKUs and narrowed that down to 4 distinct offerings. I know the company is taking a lot of heat for it, but this is a required thing for the company to do, and they're behind. Well, how about VCF, right? They're putting VCF, full cloud, and full virtualization into one package. They've signed nearly 3,000 of their top 10,000 customers to do what Hawk said is build a self-service virtual private cloud on-prem. I think that's pretty darn good where we are today. Financially, VMware, there's a new metric called annual booking value. That's essentially taking a long-term, let's say you've got a 3-year contract and annualizing it. With VMware, it's up, going from 1.2 billion to 1.9 billion in the second quarter. So that was quarter on quarter. And, Hawk really kind of ended, in my opinion, talking about the full stack value prop, right? Compelling price point, very attractive price point, whole stack, vSphere, plus networking, storage, ops, and cloud. Real quick, switches, kind of victory lap here. They doubled the amount of switches they sold year on year with PAM5, Jericho 3, citing Arista Networks, Dell, Juniper, Supermicro. They doubled their shipments of PCI Express switches and NICs in the AI backend, right? And that's inside of the rack. And then finally, this is kind of a victory lap on AI versus fiber channel. 7 of the largest AI clusters in deployment use Broadcom Ethernet, but this is the kicker. Next year, we expect all 100% of mega scale GPU deployments to be on Ethernet. Octan, Charlie Kawwas are making it happen.
Yeah, it's good analysis there. I mean, I always say when their earnings come out that Broadcom just does what Broadcom does. I mean, everything kind of up and to the right, directionally going well. I don't know if you saw the question that, Stacy Raskin asked, this really long kind of deep dive question into the company. And it's kind of basically asking if he was sort of underestimating the impact of AI. Hawk gave him like a 2-word answer, very Hawk-like, like basically it is what it is. I mean, that's not what he said, but more or less like, this is what I can tell you. And when you're Hawk and you're generating, something like 60% of revenue as EBITDA, you can pretty much do anything you want. The 10-for-1 split's interesting, timely. The stock was really expensive. I mean, on a dollar per share standpoint, it's $1,600. And I think there's this trend line with companies of making shares more accessible to retail investors as that continues to expand. And Pat, you covered a lot of the kind of the ground, but what I said in my kind of social commentary, that's my new blogging, by the way. I just tweet. By the way, it's not tweeting. I X now because apparently Twitter's not a thing anymore. But was it, look, Broadcom may be the second most interesting play for AI. Literally the second most interesting near-term play for AI. There are a lot of other companies sort of in the mix, but if you kind of look across portfolio from everything from enterprise software, like what you talked about with VMware, to integration with network, to the implementation, development, and deployment of XPUs, which are AI accelerators, which a lot of people don't understand. But when you hear about these AI accelerators from hyperscale cloud providers, there's really only 2 companies that are partnering with these companies to build them. It's Marvell and it's Broadcom. And so Broadcom has a number of the wins. They've got a huge upside on it. And the fact is this, whether it's ultra Ethernet or just traditional networking for AI, huge opportunity. We've heard numbers like 25% of the spend on AI infrastructure is going to be in the network. These massive clusters create more back end and front end needs for networking. And Broadcom is one of the only places to get this stuff. And so it's a really compelling story for those that are kind of trying to get on this front-loaded hardware wave of buying and investing in AI. So, there's a lot to like there. The company is so well run. It's so efficient. And by the way, it's the initial sort of results it's getting with VMware are impressive. I mean, it's growing faster straight out the gate. They cut like 2/3 of the workforce. They cut like hundreds of partners. It may have been more than that. They cut all kinds of unnecessary spending, and then here they grow again. And so that isn't that the most hawk thing ever, though, Pat? Like, basically everybody says, it's gonna be completely culture killing, channel killing. You and I were like the only ones that basically came out and said, I don't see it. I just don't think people get it. I mean, he's got the history. He did it with CA. He's done it with Brocade, Mantech. I'm just trying to think down the line. Like, all of them got better after the acquisition, and why everybody thought this wouldn't. And I hate to say it, but everybody's wrong. Everybody's wrong. So far, it's only taken a few quarters, Pat.
Well, sometimes people confuse churn and angst with doing the wrong thing. Hawk was really clear on where he thought they were with subscriptions. I'm going to quote him here. Moving to subscription. Well, in VMware, we are very slow compared to, a lot of guys, Microsoft, Salesforce, and Oracle. That was his quote, basically. And they could be a company that doesn't change, right? But they've decided that they need to modernize, and modernization, everybody's not a fan every time it happens. So, stuff happens. I think
go ahead. Go ahead.
I think you and I were never saying there'd never be churn or some angst across some customers. I think what we were saying is that, and I said this in my first write-up, if you're not part of where Broadcom makes money with VMware, things are going to change.
Yeah.
Hawk, and Hawk didn't raise prices. What he did is he combined the entire stack. And, if you were paying $1 million for 50,000 VMs over annual, that was a ridiculous sweetheart deal that makes no financial sense for the company, and things are going to change.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, I'm 100% in line with you. We were not ignoring the fact there would be angst or there would be churn. We were just saying that it will work. It will work. And it is working. And he's okay to, even if it was a little smaller, if it was more profitable. The fact is, though, it's getting bigger and it's going to be more profitable and it's more efficient. This is kind of like all the Musk hatred about X. He got rid of 80% of the workforce. And, although it's a private company, there was so much media sort of that it's losing all its revenue, and but it's not actually correct. And engagement's actually rising. So a lot of times people want things to be true, so they find an angle to make them true. Analysts are pretty good at this too, by the way. Anyway, all right. So that's it. That was my take. Good results, and very Broadcom of them.